Hey, I'm Andrew Sandoval, and welcome to my record room here. This is where I produce the Come to the Sunshine show, which I've been doing for 12 years now, and it's currently on WFMU's Rock and Soul Ichiban every Monday from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm out here on the West Coast in Los Angeles, where we're filming this, and so it's 3 to 5 on the West Coast. Well, Come to the Sunshine is a show I started 12 years ago that focuses on 60s records. I've been a collector of 1960s records since I was a really young guy, and I've also produced a lot of reissues, mostly focusing on the 1960s, though I've done lots of 70s and 80s and even 50s music. But I got into collecting 45s, and I have a lot of my 45s are over on this wall here, and they're all alphabetized and in chronological order. And so I travel around the world for my regular job, which is tour production, and I collect records. I go looking for records, but people always say, well, what record are you looking for? And I say, well, I don't actually know, because I'm not working off of a want list or anything. I look at the records, and I basically sort of see, like, who wrote the song, who produced the song. Often there's an arranger that I like, or even the labels sometimes are interesting to me. I know certain labels. I collect a lot of major labels, whereas a lot of people who collect mostly garage music collect independent labels from the 60s, which are pretty hard to find. I look at a lot of more produced stuff for my show that a lot of other people aren't doing. And I did a compilation in 2004 called Come to the Sunshine for Rhino, which was in the Nuggets series. There was also one called Hallucinations. And Come to the Sunshine brought in a lot of sunshine pop music, but I also play psychedelic music, beat music, folk rock, singer-songwriters, all kinds of things on the show. And I kind of felt that on the original Nuggets record from 1973 that the song My World Fell Down legitimized the collecting and the sort of curation of what was considered production pop in the 1960s, people who had really ambitious goals and made these really grandiose records like Good Vibrations or My World Fell Down. And I feel as though that opened the door for me to collect. I really liked that song when I first heard it, and opened the door for me to collect all these other crazy records and find out about different singers and songwriters and producers and arrangers. The first episode of Come to the Sunshine was broadcast by Luxury Music in September of 2006. And it was actually produced out at a laundry room that belonged to the guy who started me on the radio. His name was Eric Bonners, and he told me to show up 15 minutes before the first show, and he would show me how to be a DJ. And it did okay, but it sort of built a following over the last 12 years, and we moved out of his laundry room. The first 8 or 9 shows were done there, and then I moved back to my house, started making the shows at my house on this crazy old laptop here, which I'm still using for a bunch of different things, and because, you know, I'm a creature of habit. And then I also did shows for Luxuria live at their studios. They had a studio that was at the top of a Mexican restaurant called El Chavo, and I didn't do too many shows out of there. They also had a studio that was out in Atwater Village, and I did quite a few live shows there that are, I guess, maybe archived with them. But I've been producing the shows for more than a year here in this room, and since I moved to the WFMU Rock and Soul Ichiban, I sort of endeavor to make them more and more professional all the time. I keep this big spreadsheet of every single artist that I played on the show, which is more than 1,400 different artists, and all the different songs, the labels, the label catalog numbers, the songwriters, the producers, the arrangers, and then what show it was on. And then a lot of that stuff is on this website, which I know, you know, it's a website, it's an old thing, but there's a playlist for most of the shows that you can look at that will pop up. And on the WFMU website, there's a big archive of shows, so you can check those out. Transfer the records on this turntable. I've used this old Sansui amp that I love, and I process things through Isotope's RX software to decrackle and declick, which I know takes away some of the fun, but I actually really like how it comes out, and I also kind of experiment with getting all the segues to be really tight and getting everything sort of matched up with wildly different productions. So it's kind of a fun thing, but I spent about 24 hours on each show to make each one of these numbered shows. Well, I pick an artist usually for a spotlight, or I pick an arranger or a songwriter to focus on for each show. And in the first hour, I usually like to play 20 45s that I pick out from boxes and boxes of stuff. I go around the country and outside of the country to just sort of find different things that might be interesting. And then I usually play the songs for a few seconds at a record store, carry a little portable turntable, and then when I get them here, I give them a full play. And if I like them right away, the one side of them will be played. I'll usually play about 20 songs in the first hour of each show, and then the second hour will be a focus spotlight. And where I get the ideas for the focus spotlights is often just stuff that's going on in my life. Some things will take years. I make a little list on this post-it that has some of my ideas for future shows, and then when the show is finally produced, I actually write down the show number and the date that it's going to air, so I know if I ever repeat any shows that we're not repeating new ones, or old ones rather, on FMU. So it's very kind of homespun, but I do put more of the work into how it sounds and everything else, and I record all the voiceovers here. None of it's really scripted. I just sort of pick up the 45s and say, we just played Revelation by Randy Fuller on Showtown Records, Showtown 45 number 466, produced by Bob Keane, and it came out in 1969. So that's sort of my methodology. I try and give a lot of information, but not necessarily put my own personal spin or a lot of context. I just like to let people listen and discover. Well, I have a bunch of new shows in store for Come to the Sunshine. I'm really happy to be on WFMU's Rock and Soul Ichiban, and I look forward to many more years of programs. I've got a lot of interview programs coming up with some amazing producers and engineers from the past. Also, I hope to talk to some more songwriters and things. But mostly, I just like to explore all these different records. Like, for instance, this whole box of records over here are all 45s that I've played one side of, or I think there's one side of that could be good in a future show. And I'm just looking forward to the opportunity of matching them up, because I sort of match up the sets and try and get them to all sort of sound good together, and that's always a trick. So I'll usually pick about 40 or so 45s for an hour of 20 songs, and then knock out 20 of them each week and say, this isn't good enough. And so those usually go to another week, and eventually some year, someday, I play them. I have a lot of favorite episodes of Come to the Sunshine. I love the winter editions. Winter edition, the first one I did in 2006, was the first one I recorded at my house up in the Hollywood Hills. The Kurt Betcher and Gary Usher specials, I love the Randy Newman one, the Brian Wilson birthday show. There's been a lot of really fun episodes that I go back to and listen to now and again. I guess the whole idea behind the show is that I wanted to create my own encyclopedia of 60s music as I understood it, and sort of understand that at some point I won't be able to go around and be looking for any more records. And I may not be able to access all these records. I may not be able to have all these records forever. But the shows will live on, and everybody who can listen to them can listen to them for free, and they can enjoy the stuff that I've sort of got to enjoy myself. It's really a big thing for me to share music with people, and ever since I was really, really young, I always wanted to bring people into my room, play them records, and let them experience some of the happiness that I got from the records. So that's what I do, and that's what I try and do on the show. So that's what the show's all about.